That boy ain't right. Valentine's Day has a massive ensemble cast. The original trailer for it lists 17 people, and they don't even mention Taylor Swift or Taylor Lautner. They do mention George Lopez, though, so you're welcome.
Well, they sent me the script early. I mean, I saw it like a year ago, and I was one of the first people to sign on. So then when I go home, all of a sudden, over the next month, you read that Anne Hathaway's in it, and that Julia Roberts is in it, and that Bradley Cooper's in it. You're like, you can't believe that the screen will hold all of these actors.
This movie was made just so they could fill up a poster with names. But with such a large ensemble cast, who is the star of Valentine's Day? Who gets the most screen time in a movie filled with people that are used to being the lead? I decided to look at the top 21 main characters of this film. Yes, I agree, that is too many main characters. But you have to realize, I'm even cutting out some. Like the camera guy that becomes a reporter just to go back to being a camera guy. Yeah, maybe he should be on this list, but it's already 21 people long. So what are the rules for what counts as screen time? We're gonna go by background actor rules. Have you ever had a friend that was an extra in a movie? Even if just one of their fingers was in the shot, they'll point it out to you. That's the rule that we're applying here. If you could see any part of their body, like a leg, it counts. All right, with that out of the way, let's find out who the real star of Valentine's Day is. Let's start out with Shirley Mlan. Shirley Mlan is Bryce Robinson's grandmother and is married to Hector Elizondo. But she's keeping a dark secret from him. When I first saw this, it felt like she was in the movie a lot. She's the only character that appears twice on screen at the same time. The outdoor movie that is shown in the film is the 1958 film Hot Spell that stars a young Shirley Mlan. And yeah, when you see her on screen here, I count that as time. Even with that, Shirley still clocks in at an astonishingly low 4 minutes and 17 seconds. To help put this in perspective, this movie is 118 minutes long from the opening title screen to when the credits start. If all 21 characters received equal time, they should each have 5 minutes and 37 seconds of screen time. So even with adding that footage from the other movie, she's still way below average. What a way to start this list. Let's move on and see how much time our boy George Lopez got.
Don't dilly-dally, okay?
Let me tell you something. I don't dilly-dally, all right? I only oopsie-daisy.
George Lopez works at a flower shop that Ashton Kutcher owns and has the perfect home life where he takes midnight swings with his wife. He's in this movie for Ashton to have someone's life to pine over. Doesn't seem like a huge role, right? I mean, how much screen time can he get? Well, George Lopez clocks in at 6 minutes and 4 seconds of screen time. That's more than Academy Award-winning actress Shirley Mlan. Now, George Lopez never won an Oscar, but he was nominated for a Golden Raspberry for Worst Supporting Actor for this film, The Spy Next Door, and a voice in the Marmaduke movie. So what I take away from all this is George Lopez was getting a lot of work in 2010.
Well, you know, I didn't realize that the Latino in the movie has love figured out, and he goes home and he's got a great wife and kids. One of the little kids was really kind of crazy. You can see it in the movie where he's starting to jump around.
Next up, Julia Roberts. Now, Julia only agreed to do this movie as a favor to director Gary Marshall, who directed her in Pretty Woman. Well, as a favor to him and for the $3 million up front, it's all detailed in this Vulture article I found. Here they say that she has 6 minutes of screen time, so that equals to $8,333 for every second she's on screen. Well, I did the research and found out that the exact time that Julia Roberts is in Valentine's Day is for 5 minutes and 43 seconds, which actually means she was paid $8,746 per second.
Such a huge cast, and obviously you didn't get to work with hardly anybody other than each other, but did you ever, come on set?
We were the first 3 days.
Yeah, and then you had one other day, or you had 2 other days.
I started.
You started.
I was the first day.
Oh, you had a day before I even was there, gotcha.
I was the first 3 days of shooting.
Yeah, and I was 2 of those 3 days, and then I just had one other day. So we were really, they got our stuff out very fast. So I didn't see anybody else.
And then he went off and did the A-Team.
Yeah.
That's right. And you went off and did Eat, Pray, Love.
I did.
We might as well cover the other person that's heavily featured here, Bradley Cooper. Cooper and Roberts both spend almost all of the film's runtime on this fake plane. They both get their own individual endings, but Julia gets a bathroom scene and Bradley doesn't, so he's in this movie even less, with 5 minutes and 24 seconds of screen time. Can someone please beat George Lopez? Help us, Jamie Foxx!
Okay, congratulations. I'm a sucker for romantic comedy, so, you know, I love this as a lot. Are you guys big romantic comedy fans?
I like romantic comedies, yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, I do.
Favorite one?
Scarface.
Jamie Foxx plays a sports reporter on a slow news day, so he has to do a Valentine's Day puff piece to fill time. He hates Valentine's Day, though. Good thing Jessica Biel also hates Valentine's Day, because that makes them the perfect couple. Jamie Foxx is in this movie for 8 minutes and 25 seconds. We have a new leader. Sorry, Georgie boy. That is a pretty big lead. We'll see if anyone can beat it. How about we move on to Jessica Alba?
What kind of expectations do you think people should have for Valentine's Day in order not to be disappointed?
Probably don't have any expectations.
Jessica plays Ashton Kutcher's love interest that he proposes to at the start of the movie, only to leave him and steal his dog the exact same day. Somehow, with this tiny role, she is still in the film for 5 minutes and 44 seconds. 1 second longer than Julia Roberts. It seems to break the laws of time. She has like 4 scenes. One in this bedroom when Ashton proposes, the second scene in the flower/bakery shop that Ashton owns, and then the third is where she breaks it off with Ashton in the same room that he proposed in. Later, she's briefly in a hotel for a second, and then she's outside the hotel, but it's a lot of nothing. What did she work for? Like 1 day? Well, that screen time helped her win the Golden Raspberry for Worst Supporting Actress. She got it for this, The Killer Inside Me, Little Fockers, and Machete. Let's move on to someone heavily featured in the trailers, Eric Dane.
I don't know, I really didn't have to do anything but say the lines. I didn't have to worry about being in love or out of love.
Eric's character is probably one of the most interesting, and he could have his own movie. Eric's a professional football player that's entering the tail end of his career. In a bold move, instead of announcing his retirement, he comes out as homosexual. How much screen time does he get with such a complex idea? Okay, 4 minutes and 27 seconds. That is just crazy to me, especially when Jessica Alba's character gets more screen time and her whole thing is, I don't think I like Ashton Kutcher anymore. Real missed opportunity movie. Let's get on to the other Jessica Biel.
We're making a movie.
Jessica Biel is Eric Dante's publicist. She has a yearly I Hate Valentine's Day party, totally normal, don't think too much about it, and her love interest is Jamie Foxx. This isn't a very interesting character, and I don't remember her much. For a publicist of an athlete who just came out as homosexual in 2010, she sure doesn't have a lot of work to do. Somehow, she still gets 9 minutes and 31 seconds of screen time. We got a new leader, and wow, I would not expect it to be Jessica Biel. Can Jessica Biel hold on to her star crown? Let's see with Hector Elizondo. Hector loves his wife, Shirley Mlan, and they've had the perfect marriage. Well, except that Shirley cheated on him with his business partner decades ago. This puts Hector in such a rage that he goes to watch one of her old movies. And in classic Shirley Mlan style, she shows up, makes a scene, and they make up. Somehow, that took up 6 minutes and 26 seconds of screen time. This is just madness. All right, we got a lot of names to get through, so let's speed through a couple. Let's move on to Emma Roberts. Emma and her boyfriend, Carter Jenkins, are in love and are planning on losing their virginities to each other. She also has to chase after this kid. Even less to work with than Hector, but about the same amount of screen time, 6 minutes and 18 seconds. Emma's love interest, Carter Jenkins, has even less to do. He has 5 minutes and 20 seconds of screen time. Enough with these peasants, let's get to the queen. queen, the Queen of Latifah. Queen Latifah is Eric Dane's agent and Anne Hathaway's boss. She does nothing to actually affect the story and is one of the few characters with no love interest. She has 3 minutes and 2 seconds of screen time. Long live the Queen! Moving on to Bryce Robinson.
What did you think is the biggest thing that you learned from Gary Marshall?
I learned that having fun doesn't always make things not turn out as well. It actually can make things turn out better.
This is probably the only name on this list that you don't know, but Bryce is a main character, so I have to include him. Bryce has a crush on his teacher, Jennifer Gardner. His grandparents are Shirley Mlan and Hector Elizondo. Then at the end, we find out that his mom is Julia Roberts. But the whole time he was on screen, I couldn't stop thinking about how he reminded me of this one kid actor from Seinfeld.
Are you Bobby?
Yes. I'm in love. I'd never part with this card for anything in the world. Was your heart kind of going? Well, you're not taking that card. I gave you $13.
He's probably the most connected character in the story and spends a lot of time with different groups. That's why it's no surprise to me when I found out that he had 9 minutes and 14 seconds of screen time. How? Who came to see Valentine's Day to see this kid? Well, I guarantee you there were people in the seats to see this next performer, Taylor Swift.
I got a phone call from Gary Marshall saying, Taylor, I want to have lunch or breakfast with you. I really want you to be in this movie. Will you let me write a part for you? I could not believe it. I couldn't believe that because I didn't have the time to be a big role in this movie, Gary was going to write in a small role for me in this movie. It blew my mind.
Taylor Swift, the reason why so many young women went to see this movie. And what did they give her to do? Well, she's dating Taylor Lautner, so they could both say their own names during sex. Her character doesn't really have any personality traits. They just make her bad at dancing.
5, 6, 7, 8.
It's funny because this person couldn't sell out stadiums around the world. So relatable. 3 minutes and 55 seconds of screen time. That's literally the same length as the song Love Story. And I say, Gary, take me somewhere we can shoot the scene. I'll be waiting, dancing really poorly. Taylor be the prince and Taylor be the princess. Valentine's movie, we all said yes. How about we move on to Taylor's love interest, Taylor Lautner.
I've only really done one comedy before, and then I've been doing the Twilight films, and that's why I wanted to be a part of this, is I wanted to challenge myself to something new, and there's not a better way to do that than with Gary Marshall.
Now, this movie is filled with characters that have no real purpose, but Lautner's character still sticks out as someone with nothing to do. Only 2 minutes and 36 seconds of screen time. In Taylor Swift's entire library of music, she only has 2 songs shorter than that, I think. I don't know. Somebody will correct me in the comments if that's not true. Somehow, Lautner was nominated for a Golden Raspberry for Worst Actor in this, but he lost to somebody else in this cast. Can somebody take out Jessica Biel at the top? How about Anne Hathaway?
And the thing about Gary is sometimes he misses words. So he'll come over and he'll give you a note, and it'll be like, so, the bed, and then you smile, and action.
Anne Hathaway is dating Topher Grace. Who in the world thought this was a good combination? More on the Toph later. Anne works as a secretary for Queen Latifah, but she doesn't get paid enough to pay off her student loans. So she also works as a phone sex worker for like one weird guy.
Hi. Oh, I was thinking about you all night long. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't answer on the first ring.
Most of her screen time is this. Anne Hathaway has 12 minutes and 31 seconds of screen time. A new leader! She has more phone sex screen time than some of the characters on this list. It would have been awesome if she didn't have to share most of that time with somebody with reverse charisma. Speaking of, let's get to Topher Grace.
So tell me why your character is the best character to play in Valentine's Day.
Annie and I made a firm commitment at the beginning that we wanted to win. We wanted to be the best couple. We see acting as being competitive.
Yes.
Yeah, these other actors just don't hold up.
Topher is such a slimy little doofus in this film, which is usually fine, but he has no qualities that make him relatable to the audience either. So when he says stuff like this, I don't understand how they expect us to root for him.
If you know of a job that will pay a poetry major more than $40 an hour with her clothes on, I'm all ears.
Okay. I'm out.
No, are you gonna call me?
Well, I'd like to say yes, but I don't know if I can afford it.
Topher Grace is in this movie for 12 minutes and 3 seconds. The second most so far. And you know what? I'm sure that's gonna make all 6 Topher Grace fans happy. Let's move on to Patrick Dempsey. Patrick, not Topher somehow, is the true villain in this movie. He's dating Jennifer Gardner, but is also married. Oh no, how does he juggle this life? Get it? Juggle? That's a symbolism. 5 minutes and 11 seconds of screen time for Patrick. No star. Let's take a look at one of Patrick's love interests, Jennifer Gardner.
It's time to shake things up with the Capital One Venture card.
Jennifer is a teacher. There's Bryce and is best friends with Ashton Kutcher. Ashton finds out that Jennifer's boyfriend is actually married and tells her, but she doesn't believe him for some reason. So she decides to surprise her boyfriend, Patrick Dempsey, at work and finds out that Ashton was right. So she goes to the restaurant that Patrick Dempsey is having dinner with his wife at and embarrasses him.
And then he takes those testicles and he pulverizes them and adds in a little arugula, some sage, feta cheese, and shoves the mixture back up the pig's, well, for lack of a better word, ass.
She then comes back to Ashton, finds out that Jessica Alba broke up with him, and they get together. This whole thing is easily the most detailed and involved storyline anyone has, so it's no surprise that Jennifer Gardner has 19 minutes and 7 seconds of screen time. Our new #1, and it's not even close. I don't know if anybody can beat it. What about Kathy Bates? No matter what promotional poster you look at for this movie, you'll see Kathy Bates' name predominantly featured. She's the second actor listed on IMDb, and she has 1 minute and 17 seconds of screen time. I've shown you almost all the footage of her in this movie just by talking about her for this short period of time. And I'm pretty sure this dog has more screen time than her. Kathy Bates knows how to collect a paycheck. Hats off to you, Kathy. That leads us to our final actor, Ashton Kutcher.
And it amazed me, actually, watching the movie, I thought you might be the only man in Hollywood who can get away with a pink shirt and a pink baseball cap and still look cool. Just well done. I mean, just
and a pink jacket and a pink van.
I went for the Pepto-Bismol look.
Ashton owns a flower/coffee shop, gets dumped by Jessica Alba, and falls in love with Jennifer Gardner. Most of the movie's runtime is spent with him running his business or trying to convince Jennifer that her boyfriend is a creep. Somehow, the flower shop owner is the glue for most of this story, and Ashton Kutcher has 24 minutes and 8 seconds of screen time, by far more than anyone else. So he is the real star of the movie Valentine's Day. One of the few times where if you're a winner, you're actually a loser here. Ashton won the Golden Raspberry for Worst Actor in this film. He also had the movie The Killers attached to that nomination, so I'm not really sure which one he really won it for. Either way, I think it's kind of unfair that he won that award because both Twilight guys were nominated that year. Come on. So, looking at this chart, it's clear that this is an Ashton Kutcher and Jennifer Gardner joint. These two dominate the screen time, with Anne Hathaway and Topher Grace coming in second.
We're making a movie!
Despite scathing reviews, Valentine's Day was still a massive hit at the box office, making over $216 million on its $52 million budget. It worked so well that they did the exact same thing again, but with even more people with New Year's Eve. Please don't make me do that movie. Whew, there it is. It is over. I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me a long time to make. Please give me a like and a subscribe. Laters.